Yeah, the big thing that I want to talk about today is with language learning, acquisition is really the primary driver for learning languages. But the thing is that the same thing with basketball training. And soon, globally, the practices are going to be adjusted because one of the things that we haven't taken account for is that on social media, we are constantly consuming basketball content. Constantly. Most of the guys that you're working with, they have already seen on Instagram some trainer already teaching the point that you're teaching. And they're watching everyone like do the stuff and watching highlights. So nowadays versus 30 years ago, like 30 years ago, someone would have to work very hard to get to a certain skill level that nowadays people can just walk into the gym and playing casually and they got to step back, or they have, you know, the whole move set, kind of like the seeds for that, it's already been planted because they've done so much passive watching. So what that means is that when we're doing the training, the main point is that we want to do everything like more action-based and just let people shake that knowledge out. A Chinese perspective on learning is to start by assuming that all the knowledge is already inside of the learner, and your role is just to collaborate with them so that all of that knowledge can be externalized. And everyone is very smart, but getting them to feel more comfortable right away is the first step to getting them to do all the learning. If you assume that everyone's smart, that you're gonna find out that that's the result. If you assume everyone doesn't know what they're doing, you can also create that. You will manipulate that situation on the floor because you're projecting your idea onto the players. And giving players permission to be creative. The parents are so used to like, we wanna see you developing this specific thing, but the whole education system is going to change anyways because it becomes too one-dimensional. If you let them be creative, their intelligence is going to emerge. How it's going to go is anything out of the basket, you're going to pick a spot. All of you guys are working together. You have to go to the spot that Juice goes to. Okay, Juice, you're going to flip it to yourself wherever you want. And anything that gets you to the basket, you can do like 4 or 5 dribbles. Then, you know, next time you might be here where you're playing out of pinch post. Right now you're just exhausting your options. And I want you to think like you're in your next shoe surgeon game and what kind of moves do you want to get to when you're in those games. Right now you're going to follow Juice, and as a group you guys have to make 9. I also believe in talking about tactical concepts, but not in a way where I'm actually explaining the spacing. Instead, I'll do things in my drill design that will implicitly bake in the idea of space. Get actions. Yeah, gets are really underused as well. Huge in Europe. If Dante is playing really close to me and he wants it, because they telling him in Europe they got a guard like that. But what happens the moment that I do this, his head turns, and usually what happens is because of defensive rules, he has to separate from me. And now I have the pressure, or I can also just come right back, and I've created that pick and roll situation without even having to dribble into it. There's so many guys trying to over dribble, and then it's a shitty pick and roll. But if I can get him to release and go like this, I keep him honest too, because I can also do this and create those kinds of situations. Offense, the guy's going like this, and then it's boom, oh, now he comes into this action. Now he waits, here comes the secondary. And then I'm throwing it to the corner because you're building multiple actions to create the easy shot. Now let's say in the instance, because I know you guys really like to do lots of like ball handling, especially at the front of your warm-up. How can you do that and get more for each one of your reps? There are a couple of different ways that you can do that because, you know, you guys are doing like this kind of stuff, right? You guys are doing that kind of work. Maybe there's a way that you guys can fit this into the whole framework. One more set of this stuff where you're using the pop-ups. When you get it out of the basket, you're the leader, okay? You're gonna pick your next pop-up, but before you get there, you gotta go 1, 2, double through, double behind. And now you're set back up. Okay, so as you guys are using this, imagine that you Chris Paul and you playing at cruise control and just probing that middle. Here's another thing that we can do to get those reps, intersperse it with the bigger concept and keep that top-down idea going. So now we want to adjust these drills so that the success rate, meaning a clean shot with good rhythm, is 60 to 80% of the time. all right? If it's too difficult, then we're in the trash zone. If it's too easy, you're in your comfort zone. You in this position, as soon as this foot moves, the defense can come out and guard it. And it's live. They can jump out and try and block the shot, bother it, do anything that you would do in a game to try and distract that shooter, all right? This is why it's important to put people in settings where they're using the skill in a focused way in the competitive setting. Because like we have to get you guys ready for when the gym is packed and people watch you and it's showtime. Like you have to be ready to be in that situation, how to handle when you miss 2 shots in a row in a competitive environment, how are you going to respond? And the only one of the places where you can isolate that ability with this graded exposure is by just doing these games as a foundational point. It doesn't always happen, but if you can teach guys to roll heel to toe, now look at my base is solid for sure. If I'm on my toes, there might be a little teeter-totter. I could be leaning one way or the other. But if I get my full foot on the ground, my hips and my knees and everything is automatically gonna be aligned. Same setup where one guy rebounds, 2 guys shoot until one guy makes 4. You guys are gonna pick your spots, aggressive dribble to get to your spot, and then hold that at the bottom before you go up to shoot. It's all good about being adaptable as a shooter, but I believe if you know that you're gonna get that exact thing, just be perfect at something consistently that you know that you're gonna get no matter what. That's a mindset that KD has, mindset Kobe has, mindset MJ had. They practiced this turnaround because they knew that they would always be able to get that shot off, so they always get to that spot and perfected that shot by just every little detail. Like they shoot that in 8K. The detail is 8K. There's always going to be paradox when we're talking about basketball skill theory. You want to build players that can be creative and adaptive, but the thing is that you also at the same time in your development program have to build the ability to do exactly the thing that you want to do. That's the foundation upon which you can be creative. Kyrie, if you tell him to do this, he'll be able to do this perfectly every time. At the same time, he'll be able to create this masterpiece where you tell him just do it and he'll do whatever. But when it comes to all the high-level players, what distinguishes the high-level players, whether the pros or elite youth or anything, is that they are able to perform the task the right way every time.
Exactly as explained.
Every time. They can be creative, but the point is that they are able to do the directive with a high level of fidelity. And that's also something that you have to build at the same time as building their ability to be adaptive and creative. They have to have both. One is the foundation of the other. Another way that you can build balance with a player, exactly, is this kind of stuff. We'll start with the basics. So you just take 2 jumps and then your ability to land soft both times, and then on that second one, rise right into your shot. So you literally is 1, 2, and then you're able to maintain that rhythm, always rolling heel to toe. You can build those physical qualities at the same time as focusing on shooting and producing guys who can not only be adaptable, but also create repeatable, perfected motion. But this time, you're gonna spin on your left foot. That foot can't move. How you win this game against physics is that you have to keep your center of mass in the center. You have to stay there. This is also gonna tell you everything you need to know about your own skill and your own balance and your own whole mentality going into it. That's the beauty of these kind of drills. They will tell you all the information. You can be all by yourself, and the drill will coach you. That's the mark of a good drill. Now you got your own study material. And there's no difference. Like all the days up until now, I've been coming to the gym and there's no one here. I will be doing this exact thing because I need to do it. I need to work on it as much as everyone else, but this is a different idea. If you have the knowledge and you know the methods, what's left is your capacity to do it consistently. That's the variable. You guys know the drill. This is the type of stuff I like. Now I want to come and work out with you to do these kinds of things because I will need the feedback. I'll need the cues the same way that I deliver them. In education, if you want to do your teaching certification, this is how it goes. The basketball industry thinks because it's a sport, it's a totally different thing. When it comes to being a basketball teacher, you need to follow this model. Good teaching communities are full of teachers that aren't afraid to go to each other's lessons to either learn something or to be there to help the other guy.